Hi, I'm Colin Hung with Healthcare IT Today, where we explore the latest trends in healthcare technology and we uncover a few interesting stories on the way. Today, we're going to be talking about how communications can actually improve workflows at an organization. And joining me on this journey to explore this topic is Dr. Will O'Connor, Chief Medical Information Officer at TigerConnect. Dr. O'Connor, welcome back to the program.
Thank you. Thanks for having me again, Colin.
Yeah, it's gonna be a lot of fun. Good to be back. Yeah. And we're here at HIMSS, which has always got some great energy here. But maybe for context, how long would a typical workflow for something like a stroke workflow take to complete without a solution like TigerConnect?
Yeah, we see that a lot. It's a good question. And we see for a stroke workflow when we go into a new customer that we're working with, somewhere we measure door to needle time and we see typically somewhere between 50 and 70 minutes.
Okay.
I think the national average is somewhere around 60.
All right.
That's typically what we're starting with. And we really shoot to look at a specific customer workflow, in this case stroke, apply that communication technology to it, and really build the customer a step-by-step workflow so we can make that door to needle time as fast as possible. And we'll typically see improvements in the range of greater than 50%. So many of our customers now are having door to needle times where they started around 60 minutes are down to around 15 or 20 minutes.
Unbelievable. And all you're doing is just mapping out the steps and maybe helping them with their communications a little bit, and they're seeing that amount of improvements?
Yep. That's exactly right, because we're delivering the right information to the right person at the right time. So we answer that question, who is the right person to call? Who's the neurologist on call? Who's the transporter? Who's working in pharmacy at the time? Who's the radiologist? Who's going to transport the person to the CT scanner? We have all that within TigerConnect, so we know exactly who needs to control which part of the process.
Right.
And we understand that passing information back and forth between those folks just speeds up patient care. It's not just for stroke. Any of those sort of conditions where we say time is tissue, we'll apply that TigerConnect communication technology to all of those.
I am learning so many cool terms here, door to needle, all this great stuff. But talk to me a little bit about the metrics. What should people be measuring for this in terms of to really understand the effectiveness of their clinical workflows? I mean, you mentioned one, obviously, the total time, but what are some other ones?
Yeah, I mean, for anything that's an emergency condition, you really want to measure something equivalent to door to needle time. So for a heart attack, could be door to balloon, right? For sepsis, you want to measure how fast you're getting them the antibiotic. So a lot of hospitals measure those individual pieces of data for those acute sort of emergency conditions. But then there's other things that we measure as well in terms of hospital throughput. So we'll measure length of stay.
Right.
We'll measure how long it takes from a patient who's in the emergency department to get up to the floor. We'll measure how many patients get discharged before noon so they have beds so they can take people from the emergency department and get them up to the floor. So there's a lot of metrics that we go after with a hospital. And really, when we do our implementations, we decide up front, hey, these are the 6 or 7 workflows you're interested in. These are the 6 to 10 metrics we're going to track. And then we're very intentional when we install those workflows about tracking those metrics along the way so that we can show the value of the solution.
Right, you can see that improvement with the technologies. So what does it look like when one of these workflows is sort of functioning really, really well?
Yeah, I think you really see a few things across the board. I think overall you're seeing improvements in the cost, the quality and experience of care. Certainly when we're using these workflows, there's a significant cost reduction, mostly in terms of length of stay. We're really seeing improvements where we've gone into customers and improved their length of stay by more than a day. So a very significant improvement in length of stay. In terms of quality, you can imagine that if you take a stroke patient and you're giving them that lytic in 15 minutes instead of 60 or 75 minutes, when you're having a stroke, you're losing about 3 million neurons a minute. That's a huge benefit to that patient in terms of what their outcome is going to be like short-term and long-term. So we certainly see improvements in quality. And I think the last is experience. I think both for the patient, being treated faster, having a shorter length of stay is obviously preferred for a patient. Then for the caregivers as well, you just feel better when you get a good result. And if we can make that communication easier for them. Often it's very hard to find who the right person to call is. So we make that easy, and it just makes that experience in delivering care for the nurse, for the physician, or any other type of caregiver, we make it a much more pleasant experience.
So I'm just still blown away and amazed at these numbers that you're talking about and the delta in improvement of the workflow. Because when we think about improving communication, I normally think about just how this is going to improve the experience for both patients and clinicians. But here you're talking about like 50% improvement in the actual workflow.
Yeah. We continue to be amazed ourselves, and I think, we've been in business since 2010, and I think our focus the first 10 years was really on the technology and getting the technology to work the right way. And now that's an afterthought. The technology always works. We are past our two-year anniversary with no downtime at all. So the technology is rock solid. So now when we go to work with a customer and do an install, we're very much focused on those specific workflows, step by step by step. What role or what job needs to be informed at what time, and that's why we're seeing the types of improvements we are, because that becomes the focus of the implementation, is really very workflow focused and very specific on specific workflows that we know can move the needle for the hospital.
And what's the reaction been by your clients when you start to talk to them about these kinds of improvements, and when they see these kinds of this kind of speeding up of the time?
Yeah, it's been incredible. I think, on the IT side, I think the IT folks we work with are generally very happy. I hear all the time that IT staff will tell us, when they hear from their constituents that, TigerConnect is one of the favorite applications in the portfolio in terms of people love it, they don't complain about it. It's really a nice technology that people like to use.
Oh, that's always a great thing, especially these days. Having a technology that people want to use, like to use, that's a big, big win.
Yeah.
Well, Dr. O'Connor, thank you so much for being on the program. You showed some great information. Where can people go to learn more about TigerConnect?
Oh, you can go to our website, TigerConnect.com, and learn everything you need to know.
Awesome. Well, thanks again for being on our program.
Thanks,
we'll have you back again soon.
I'd be happy to.
All right. Hey, if you enjoyed this interview as much as I did, we'd love for you to check out more great content on www.healthcareittoday.com. I'm Colin Hung, and we'll catch you on the next one.